Hey guys, so I just finished reading my article. It was off of CNN.com, and it was about this new study that they released in the news edition of the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology. It was these scientists who were looking at the weight and waist circumference of about just under 7,500 people. The people in this study ate three different diets for 5 years, and it was all randomized. The study consisted of men between 55 and 90, the women between 60 and 80%. Now, about 90% of the people in the study were either overweight, obese. They either started to develop signs of type 2 diabetes, had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or were smokers. Now, there's three different dieting groups, like I said. The first two were on a Mediterranean diet, which is heavy on vegetables, legumes, which are your peas, beans. It's heavy on fish, fruit, nuts, and whole grains. The carnivores of the groups, they kept in poultry, lean cuts of meat, but red meat, processed food, sugars, those were pretty much cut out of the diet. The people in the first group were also given a substantial amount of olive oil to use in their diet to where they get what they call their good fats. And the second group was also on the Mediterranean diet, but instead of the olive oil, they were given extra nuts to help supplement their diet. Now, the third group, they were just told to avoid all dietary fat in general. Now, after about 5 years, all three groups did lose a little bit of weight. The group that did the best was the group given the extra virgin olive oil, and they lost about 2 pounds, while the low-fat group only lost about 1.3, and the group who ate the nuts was right in the middle, about 1.5. Waist size did slightly go up for all three groups. The low-fat dieters saw the biggest increase of 1.2 centimeters. Compared to the olive oil Mediterranean dieters, who saw an increase of 0.85 centimeters, and then the final group with the nuts actually had the least amount of increase in their waist size with 0.37 centimeters. Now, none of these groups were actually told or advised on their exercising habits, but they were given extra dietary advice. Basically, the takeaway from this study is that the fat in the Mediterranean diet, like olive oil, fatty fish nuts, isn't bad for you at all. The advice that doctors used to give patients was that you should avoid fat and that all fats are bad. Now, this just isn't true. Dr. Darvish Mozafarian, he's a cardiologist and epidemiologist who wrote an editorial that accompanied his study that just suggested this in general. He says that they need to get rid of that stigma that fats are bad for you. He believed they got the bad rep because fatty food has more energy density and just has higher calories. And doctors mistakenly accused them of that being the problem in people's diets, but that was just an oversimplified issue. He points to a study he did that looked at one high-fat food, which is cheese, and the study replaced people's carbs with cheese consumption. Now, they didn't see an increase of weight at all, and they actually reaped some of the benefits as they were at a lower risk of diabetes, and the cheese can have some good or has some bacteria in it that can be good for your digestive system. He goes on to say stuff like a handful of nuts may be 160 calories, which is more than a Coke, but a Coke doesn't mean it's a better choice for you. Salt, sugar, starch, processed foods, and trans fats, they should be off the menu, not fat. Healthy foods are going to be healthy regardless, and bad foods are going to be bad. It doesn't matter if the food is low fat or high fat. That's just a completely separate issue. So that pretty much sums it up. You're going to have your good fats, you're going to have your bad fats. You got your good foods, you have your bad foods. So it's all about the choices you make and not about fat.